Hello everyone, this is ECAbrams, and in this After Effects tutorial, sponsored by Videoblocks, we're going to be creating a delightful sliding glass pane slideshow, I don't know why I said slide twice, that looks something like this. Now this is something I've been asked to do a bunch of times, so I guess it's pretty popular. You see you've got some footage down there, you have these sliding glass panes going over it. You know, we could throw in some particles, I guess, but the panes are distorting what's under them. Then we transition to something new, you know, we'll talk about how to expand this to have like a million panes or no panes or, you know, pain in my butt, or we're gonna just have a lot of clips, not a lot of clips. But we'll talk also about kind of template design and some of the big picture stuff. Yeah, we're gonna technically do the thing, and if you want to just do the thing, you're welcome to, but you know, stick around. We're gonna talk about more stuff, hopefully, and then we'll do some real learning. Anyway, before we go into After Effects, you're probably gonna need some footage, and I also mentioned we are sponsored in this episode by episode? Do I have episodes? I don't know. In this tutorial, we're sponsored by Videoblocks. We're doing a thing that requires footage. Oh man, that's a great synergy because Videoblocks has 1.8 million clips for you to choose from. So check that out. I think it's the largest unlimited download library on the internet, so they say. It looks pretty large to me, so I recommend you check it out. There's actually a link in the description where you can enjoy 7 days free access to all this royalty-free stuff. Enjoy 140 clips, download those, they're yours for life. Enjoy, get those, and then let's get into the tutorial. Okay, so here inside of After Effects, the first thing you want to do is import some footage. Also, if your After Effects doesn't look like my After Effects, that could be because I am using version 13.8.0.144, the newest at this time of recording, and that could be it. So let's get that footage in here. So double clicking over here, grab these footages, open them. Yes, please. And the first thing you'll notice about the footage is, first, the size, 1920 by 1080. That's the 1080p frame size. And you'll also notice they all kind of have different frame rates. We got some 24s, 23s, 29s. And for this, I'm going to start by making a new composition. I'm going to call it Slide 1. And we're going to use the HDTV 29.97 preset. You will need to pick something that's going to be your final output for this thing. So when you're doing montages or when you're doing arrangements of footages, when you're doing slideshows, you might not have all the same stuff. So you are going to want to pick a common denominator for your stuff. And just be aware that, let's say you have something that's 24 frames a second and you're going up to 29, then, well, you'll lose, you know, roughly 5 frames every second as it tries to catch up, or you'll have to speed up the footage to make up the difference, or you can work with the fewest number of frames. So the smallest number I had was 23.976, so maybe we should stick with that. And the duration that I'm going to choose is how long one slide is going to be. So how long do I want to look at one picture at a maximum? How long do I want to look at one piece of footage as a maximum? And I think 10 seconds is long enough. You might want longer, you might want shorter. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know your business, but that's it. We're set up, we're good to go, and yes, please. So what we're going to do, since we're making a slideshow, is I'm going to want to be able to duplicate this slide 1 composition, you know, 10 times, 20 times, however many times, and replace very few things to make a new thing. So in the slide, I'm going to want the footage. So I'm just going to drag the footage down here, and we should probably reorganize our stuff a little bit. So let's take all of these footages, put them in a folder, call it footages, good. And we've got a slide here, and when we have more slides, we'll reorganize that. But for now, we've got a slide, it's got footage. What did we want to do with this again? I think sliding panes of stuff was the idea. But before that, there are some steps to do before we get there. I know for a fact that no matter what we use, whether it's an image, a picture, some video, this video happens to have some motion in it. You know, we've got this little tracking shot that goes through the woods. Pretty nice. But if it was a different piece of footage, maybe it was footage like maybe the sunset, where the camera doesn't move at all, we're totally locked off. We want to put some motion into this layer, and so that no matter how boring the shot might be, this is not a boring shot, but if it's a photo, if it's something else, whatever we switch this out with, we want it to still have that dynamic movement to it. How about I either move this or move something looking at that like a camera? So I'm going to make this 3D, and then I'm going to go new camera and use the 24mm preset. Wonderful. I've got a camera in here. Then I'm going to hit the old P button to call up its position. I'm going to set one keyframe over here, which is by clicking the stopwatch, and then go to the very end, and let's just shave 200 pixels off of that. So it's constantly pushing in a little bit. So I think that's a nice movement, because if we have something that's very static, we'll probably want to jazz it up a little bit. And the other thing I want to do with this footage, because I'm going to have side-to-side sliding motion, I kind of want this to slide side-to-side as well. So I think I'll bump this by 100 pixels in one direction. Cool. Then go to the end over here, and we'll just go 100 pixels from baseline in the other direction. And that causes us to be, we have this little edge here that is not very attractive, but don't worry, I think we're going to get smoothed out by the end of this thing. I have a feeling. I have kind of a feeling I know where this thing goes. So we've got this subtly moving thing in the background, and I think we're able to now safely move on and put those glass panes in front of it. So, like I said, for our base layer, we can use any kind of layer, anything that has information on it. It could be a composition full of other stuff too. So I could pre-compose this like so and just call this footage, or I'd probably call it footage 1. Just because then, if people want to come in here and mess with this, they go into footage 1, they can put whatever they want in here. So great. Remember, we got footage on the bottom, followed by a new adjustment layer on top of that. And this adjustment layer is going to be those glass panes. Now, adjustment layers are not the same as other layers. They got this little box checked here, and for those of you who are not aware, nothing you put on the adjustment layer is really going to affect it. It's sort of like a lens through which we view other layers. So if I, for example, go to the effects and I put a tint on this layer doesn't get tinted, but anything under it is tinted. So we put a tint on there, and let's tint it down 5% tinting. So barely noticeable tinting. Let's also put on here a curve, some curves. That could be fun. And with the curves, I think what I want to do is adjust the reds like so. And then I think I want to adjust the blues in the opposite direction like this, causing what we call cross process. Good. But the big thing about the glass is not that it's tinting. It's not that it's altering the color. We'll just switch those like that so it curves first and then tints. But the thing it does is it magnifies. And thankfully, a lot of the effects in After Effects are named for what they do. So you want to magnify the layer. Well, we got distort, magnify, enjoy, drop that in. Magnify causes this little circle to show up because our shape is circle. I want that to be a square, please. And the magnification, I mean, it can be pretty big. Can be 0, like 100%, but let's just go 110. That should be fine for now. And then we can make the scaling soft. We can make it scatter. This is sort of a quality thing. Change the blending mode, meh. But the big thing we're interested in is the magnification and the size. The size is how big is this square? And this is important because the magnify effect is applied to the frame, and everything about it is relative to the frame. So you can see the square there, I hope. And if we take the adjustment layer and I move it, see that square doesn't stay in the same spot? The boundary for the adjustment layer has moved, but the square is in the same spot because it's defined by this center here. So if I move it over here, that's how you move this, not by moving the layer. So I'll just go ahead and reset that value, and I'll go ahead and position. I'll go reset this value. What we want to do is make this square so big that it covers the entire thing without us having to do very much stuff. So 1080 is probably going to be a very safe size to take over the whole frame. If your frame is smaller, smaller number. If your frame is bigger, bigger number. So we've got it magnifying. We've got it changing the color a bit. We've got it tinting a bit. Let's also make it blur a bit. There's so many blurs, so many blurs. I think the blur I'm interested in is the obsolete fast blur. It's no longer cool. And make sure you have repeat edge pixels on. I think 10 blurriness is fine. Might not be fine for you. What's right for me might not be right for you. It takes different strokes. We've got this. So I think that's working out. Now, if we just animated this over, it'd be, that seems to be working. So good. We don't want it to be this wide, though. I don't think the glass panes ever need to be super big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale it down and unclick this link, and then we are going to scale it down. Let's scale it down 25%. Sure. And so now we've got this glass pane, and I think that's working out all right. But the glass panes, we want to have a little edge on them. We want those edges to be magnifying in a different way than the rest of these things are. And how will we do this? Well, we're going to duplicate this particular thing. So we've got one adjustment layer, and we're going to call it main adjustment. And let's call this one edge 1 adjustment. So we know this is for the main stuff, and this will be just for one of the edges. And because we want to line this up in a very good way, let's go changing its anchor point by hitting A. Set the anchor point to 960, meaning the anchor point is now here on one of its edges, and we're going to parent one of these to the other. So the edge is parented to the main, and then we're going to change its position to also be at 0. So it hasn't moved, but if we scale this down, we scale it down to be like this. And already we've got this brighter edge. Wonderful. And we can rotate this and move it around, and woo, it's doing the things. Awesome. But I don't think this is everything that I want this edge to do. I would like it to tint more. I think a 10% tint would be good. The blurriness is okay, but it's not the kind of blurriness I want. So I'm going to delete that. The magnify I'm down with. The curves, and we don't really need the curves on there, but I would like a blur that is directional. I want this only to blur in one direction. And I kind of want to have control over this, because you might want it to be blurring a lot, maybe blur it out 50, and maybe you want to have this sort of match the angle that your stuff is at. So if we want to angle these at 45 degrees, maybe we angle this at 45 degrees. But right now I think it's doing a good job going vertically. We'll touch that up later. So we've got this, we've got that, and the next thing I think is make use of a brightness and contrast change. And we're going to make it, let's make this a little bit brighter. So this will be the bright edge. And contrasting, maybe make it a little bit less contrasting. Like maybe this edge is kind of frosted, or we can make it more contrasting, maybe as the light refracts through it. These are all choices that you have to make for yourself. So I'll just go ahead and reset that rotation and stick it back in the middle here, just so we don't lose track of it. Okay, so we've got one edge. I think that edge is a little bit too big. 2, 3. Okay, that's good. Let's make another one. If we've got a bright edge, we should have a dark edge. So let's duplicate that, and edge 2 adjustment. So since we want it darker, we know we'll just minus this, and 30 contrast is good, but its location is not good. So call up its position, call up its anchor point, and change these numbers to be matching the other edge so that the anchor point on it is now moved to 960, 1080. Its position relative to its parent is now 960, 1080. So we get these two edges. I think that's working out pretty well. The next thing that we're going to want to do, though, is to take these, and we are going to want them to be 3D. And we want them to be 3D because a camera is moving in towards them. And if they're not 3D, they're not going to interact in the same way. So let's click this box and make them 3D also, so that when camera moves forward, good. So it's moving with them. And we might want to have 10 of these things. We might want to have like 50 of these things. We don't know. But I do know I don't want to make like 3 of these every time. So let's pre-compose them. Let's go Command-Shift-C, pre-compose, and let's call this Pane. And we're going to move all the attributes into the new composition because that's the only choice we have. And please open the new composition as well. And we're going to hit OK. And in here, as you can see, there is nothing. There's nothing going on. These layers are still here, but they're adjusting nothing. So that's not very interesting. We go here into slide 1, and it looks like there's also nothing going on in here. And that's because we need to hit this collapse transformation button. And what this does is it takes everything that's in this composition inside slide 1, brings it out here. So everything in slide 1 is out here now. And now we just need to make it 3D so we can manipulate it around. And then we can just rotate this as we like. So we'll just go, what do you think? 60 degrees? That looks okay. Cool. So there you go. We've got one pane sliding across. Ooh boy, so we can do that. Now, if we duplicate this a bunch of times, so we make one over here, we make one overlapping here, make one over here, you know, we can just make a bunch of them, and I think we are good to go. But if you want to alter the pane in some way, like, oh man, I don't think, it doesn't need to magnify that much, do this. Well, then that change will populate out here. And similarly, if you want to add some stuff in here, like I've just decided that this requires a gradient on it, like a gradient kind of shine on it. I think the best way to do that is to have it run. This is the dark edge here. It's the bright edge here. So I'm going to duplicate this layer. And instead of being an adjustment layer, I'm going to click this, and that no longer adjusting. And it doesn't need any of these effects. Get rid of those. What it does need is a gradient ramp. Yours might not be called gradient ramp. I don't know what yours is called, but we're going to set that in there. We're going to go to its toggle switches modes, and then we're going to go to the mode of add. And if you're like me and you work on a smaller screen for tutorial making, toggling switches and modes just does that. Out here, you can see these are all set to add now. If I set this to normal, like this, then these are all now set to normal. So we go back in here, definitely add, that's definitely the winner. And it's transparency, we'll bring that way down, thanks. So that looks good. And then we get this kind of a thing going on. Ooh, pretty fancy. So now we've got these panes set up. If we want to make changes to them, we can go in and do that. But I think the thing we want to do with them is make them move around. Am I right, people? Am I right? So let's do just that. First, I think we need some variety. So we've got, I don't know, a bunch of them. Let's make more of them. Let's make some of them scaled up. Let's scale some of these like this. Let's make some wider ones. Let's make maybe some 200 wide ones. Cool. I'm going to change their color so that we can remember, you know, these are sort of the bigger ones. And let's scale these down, I think. Let's make them half size so we will remember lavender, no, pink maybe. That's the same color as the camera. I don't know. Seafoam, sure. So we've got small ones, we've got big ones, we've got medium ones. Let's also offset them in space so that as we move forward, some of them are going to be moving a little bit more than others. So let's call up their positions, and I kind of want to put them in order. Since we're working with adjustment layers, they're going to force their order onto us. So they will ignore visually which one is in 3 dimensions closer or further, they'll only remember what order they are in the layers. So let's kind of randomize it a little bit. This. Yeah, it looks okay. And then starting at the top, let's make you minus 500. So it's getting closer to the camera. Minus 400, minus 300, cool. Next, minus 200, good. And finally, minus 100. And then, oh boy, whoopsie, screwed this one up. Let's go minus 600 and then move it up to the top. Oh boy, even I make mistakes. So, as you can see, that is now altered these things. As we move closer to this, they seem to be drifting a little bit. That's a little bit of motion already, and we haven't even moved them. But we're going to set position keyframes for them all. We are going to move them. Let's move them out of frame for some of them. Move you out of frame over here. Great. Let's move you over here, I think. Very good. And let's move you over here. Great. And let's move you over here. And move you over here. Sure. Okay, good. So we've got all these things, maybe even further, that are starting like this. And then when they end, we want to sort of compose our busy frame with all the things we want to stick on here. So move the things into position. And we go, let's have this thing just kind of careen through into here. Let's have this big fella come on like this, kind of framing up the shot with these things like this. And maybe this will come in like that. How am I feeling about this? I don't know. Feeling okay, I suppose. Maybe I need to scale these down a little bit. Maybe that's too big. I don't know. Maybe in here I think, well, now I think that dark edge is probably too big. So I'll just drop that down a little bit. All right, then we'll go back in. Yeah, that's okay. Let's drop it down even more. Good. Okay, this is something I can live with. That's kind of boring, though. The way they're coming in is not doing it for me. So call up all of the position keyframes here, and let's go into the graph editor and select all those properties with all those keyframes, and hopefully your graph editor looks like mine. You toggle it with this, but if not, you might need to look at a speed graph instead of a value graph. So value graph would look like this, speed graph would look like this, and then in here, select everything, and we are going to easy ease them. You can hit F9, you can click this button. Now, what this is telling us is before everything was at a constant speed over time, but this is telling us it is doing nothing here, getting faster, and then coming back to nothing. So I'm going to pull this handle like this so that it's ending nothing is a lot more influential, and then it's beginning nothing is not influential at all. So it's going to start as fast as possible and then drift, gently drifting. And wonderful. That's wonderful, gentle drifting for the rest of this thing as we push in. And you might also want to like tweak these around. This is the time when you're going to play around with these things to really make it do what you want. And hopefully it does. Anyway, you play around with it. You do what you got to do. The last thing that you need to do is bring this footage on in some way so it's not just hanging out. We've got these angled things coming in. Why don't we use one of them? Give me one of these. Give me the biggest one, maybe. Actually, give me the averagest one. So I'm going to duplicate this one, and I'm going to call it, let's call it transition pane. And the transition pane, I'm going to hit P on that one, and we're going to clear those keyframes, click the stopwatch, get rid of them, set it to 0 on the Z-axis so it's right down against the footage, move it down to be right on top of the footage. Great. And let's solo those. Let's only look at these. That's all we're interested in looking at. So this one on top of this one, good. And we will be keyframing its position to go from totally off out here. And then, it should be totally on within, I'm going to say 20 frames, probably. Pop, pop. right here, 20 frames. We should be all the way across. Perfectly wonderful. Good. And the type of motion we want to go back into that graph editor. We're going to ease them. We're going to go into that graph editor. We are going to push this one like so. And this one, we're going to go 66%. That seems good. So it's going to just come in pretty fast, cruising by. Maybe we want to extend this a little bit so it doesn't totally get lost. We still want to see it. We still want to appreciate what's going on, I think. Good. But we need it to reveal this footage. So let's go and make something helpful for that. So let's go layer, new, solid. Wonderful, make comp size. So we got this solid, and let's make it 3D and parent it to the transition pane. And when we do, hold down Shift, and that'll get this to sort of snap onto it so that it sticks to the other one and moves itself, get those anchor points on top of each other. Great. Now let's also change that anchor point so that it's right at the edge. 1080, you know how we do. Then we want to change its position by grabbing this thing and going like that. Just drag it down so it's right there on that, holding down Command and locking it in. Or you can do the math to get it in the exact correct position. The next thing we need to do is make sure that once this has slid all the way across, that this black solid here is taking up the entire screen. So we can do that by sort of dragging this out like this and then coming down like so. You know, it's a little bit janky, but it does work. Ooh, so let's scale up, please. Move this up, please. Good. And last but not least, this is the big thing. We've used modes. Now we're going to use the track mat. So let's go to the switches/modes, go to footage 1, and tell it to alpha matte of the black solid, meaning that this layer will ask the layer above it, what should I be doing? And it will say, you should be visible wherever I am visible. And then that's what you see. So anywhere this red thing is, this thing also is, and that looks like this. So this is coming on like so. Now the only thing left to do is scale this up so we don't have any more of this going on, any more of that nonsense. That looks like it does it. Let's go a little bit further for safety. And wonderful. Now we'll take this solo off so we can see everything. All right. And so we've got these panes over here that kind of come out of nowhere. Maybe you want to adjust those out of the way. Maybe you want to keep them though. And I'll show you why in the next part when we take this and stick it somewhere else. So we are going to take this thing, this slide 1, and let's duplicate it. Now we'll duplicate it, we make slide number 2, duplicate that, make slide number 3. If we go into slide 2, we can go in here and we can, move a bunch of this stuff around and say, ooh, this should be here, or, this should end somewhere else. This should end like here. That seems pretty good. Switch these things around, make something interesting out of all of them, have a little variety in your day. And then we need different footage in here. So we should duplicate footage 1 to make footage 2. And when we go into footage 2, we grab this thing and we replace it with this, I guess. So we're holding down Alt and then we're dragging onto the new thing. And if we duplicate footage 2 into footage 3, we repeat the process like this, or maybe we like that, the cityscape, great. So we've got these footage containers, and then we've also got slide 2 and slide 3. So in slide 3, let's go to footage 1, replace it with footage 3. And then in slide 2, we replace footage 1 with footage 2. So footage 2 is in slide 2, footage 3 in slide 3. And what we end up with is 3 different slides. Now, take these 3 slides and put them in a new composition. like so. We would like it to be a single composition. We would like to sequence the layers, please. Let's overlap them. Great. And that sounds good. And we're going to go OK. And it's going to create this, which is kind of wrong for our purposes. We want it to be so that slide 1 is under everything, and then on top of it is slide 2, and so on. So that here, where they overlap each other, it's going to set my work area here and here so we can observe that. We want them to get a little weird. So you can see, oh, this pane's coming in nice. Oh, that's pretty funky. Nice. Now you can also, as we learned about collapsing transformations already, what would happen if you did that in here? Well, then you get the panes interacting with each other. Unfortunately, you lose that camera motion, so something to consider as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You've made a slideshow. Now, you're probably thinking, Evan, you put text in yours. You're right, I did put text in mine. You would do that exactly the same as you've done to reveal this footage here. So I would duplicate this, make another transition, and I would put it up in the middle, like in the midst of these things, and then I would just offset it in time a little bit, like so. So the text is coming on after, and then you just need to make a text layer. So I'm going to go Command T, text, like this. That's pretty great. And it can start at the same time as this. It could be made 3D, I think so. Thank you. And where should it be, though? Let's look at this stuff from the top. And I think it should be between the layers, right? So if it's going to be in between them in the stack here, it should be in between them here, so it makes sense visually. And then we return to the active camera. We position this somewhere. And then we should treat the text. We should treat the text real nice. So what we're going to do is put some effects on that. Effects like a ramp, a gradient ramp. Ooh, a sweet gradient ramp. And like this. Just move these things around. Ooh, swap those, please. And the other things that were done were maybe a bevel of the alpha and maybe a CC light sweep. Yeah, let's do that. And then, we can try to have this light sweep perhaps make all the light kind of match or go counter to the sort of light scenario that we're kind of showing off with this stuff. But I do like to sort of make sure that this is actually being animated while everything else is animating, so that this sweep is kind of like shining, going across everything. Across? Oh boy. And finally have a little drop shadow on it. Just a little droppy shadow. Droppy poo back there. All right. Softness. Yeah, definitely soften that up, please. And that should do it. Then you've got some text, hiding in the back, being affected by all these layers, and then finally being sort of revealed, and then people can enjoy reading that text, I guess. Or not. Maybe they won't enjoy it at all. I don't know. Maybe you put something offensive in your text. I can't say. But what did it name it? So this thing here that has been named slide 4 that should instead be named like export me, if this was a template, so people would know to come in and export this. Now, the first question that's probably racing through your mind is, oh man, I need to add 10 more slides. Well, then you need to go here, composition settings, increase the length of this, just 3 minutes or something. So many minutes. Duplicate these. Bam. Put them up like this. Move them over like so. Overlap them if you so desire. And that overlap is key because, this one starts to come on. You get that line coming through. And then you would just duplicate some slides. So we would get slides 4, 5, 6. We would get footages 4, 5, 6. We would swap out the footages in here. So this gets swapped with this, or with this, and then we will go back into slide 4, and then go down to here, and footage 4 goes here. But you can see how if you were making a template that you would want to tell people, all right, export me and put all of these slides into something like that says, don't touch me, and all of these footages here, and put those in something that says, it's cool to touch me. And you could have people go in here, replace the footages. There you go. And people are away at the races. And like I said, use photos, use videos, use whatever you need. Use drawings. As long as it is a layer and you could put it in there, you are fine. Well, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully that worked out for you. If it didn't, if you ran into troubles, let me know in the comments. If you're familiar with this channel, you know I try to respond to everybody. There are no silly questions. Well, that's not true. Evan, how do you make a pie? That is a silly question because I'm an expert pie maker and I will not share my secrets. But if you have troubles with this specific tutorial, just let me know in the comments and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. If you have questions about After Effects in general, hit me up on Twitter at ECAbrams on there, or get involved on the Facebook. Links to all that in the description. And speaking of links that are in the description, hey, how about that 7-day free trial of Videoblocks, who sponsored this tutorial? Click the link down there. It should be above the fold so that you can enjoy it. Or, you know, if you don't like reading that stuff and you just want to type what I say, go to videoblocks.com/YouTube and go there, get this stuff. So again, if this is the kind of thing you enjoy, subscribe to this channel. If you had trouble, let me know in the comments. And if you want to see more of these videos, well, check out the rest of the videos on the channel. There's a bunch of them. It goes back a long ways. I've been doing this for a while, so check them out. But if you want future stuff, you got to subscribe. And, you know, let me know if you enjoyed this. Thumbs up, thumbs down, that kind of thing. And I guess I'll see you around the internet. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. Slide!